Hello, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Tuesday, April 16th. Today we're talking about dental implants and why are they so expensive and are they going to get any cheaper? And I'm going to explain that to you, and there is a big potential as to them actually getting cheaper in the very near future. Now, let's not waste any more time and dive right in because this is going to be an exciting one. Now, what are dental implants made of? Because the reason why I start there is because obviously, if you want to figure out why something is expensive, you want to understand the different components of it, and also you want to understand what it takes for that kind of placement to go inside your jaw. Because people are saying it's very expensive, they can't afford it. Why can't it be cheaper? Well, these are some of the reasons. So, in terms of manufacturing, now, there are different kinds of implants, and the implants, this one here that you're seeing is Straumann. Not the picture, but the explanation is Straumann. And Straumann is very, very precise with the amount of material, the ingredients, if you want to say the ingredients that they use to make the actual implant. And here on the screen, you can see that they use 15% zirconia and 85% titanium. Now, why do we use titanium? Titanium is known to be very biocompatible, meaning that the chances of it being rejected by the body is very, very little. Now, there's a lot of research with regards to very high end type of implants. And I mean, if I was you, if I was in your shoes and you're looking for dental implants, I'd only want the best to be inside my jaw because you don't want things to be of less quality. You want things to be the best quality. Straumann is certainly fits that bill. So that is one component is in terms of when you actually are asking yourself, okay, why are they so expensive? The first thing you want to think about is what are they made of? The second thing you want to think of is how are dental implants made? Okay, now there's a big process as to how they're made. I'm not going to go through it in detail. I'm just going to put it here on the screen. You can read through this and you can also Google it. You can look at it through YouTube and whatever. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And this is like a simplified process, but there's a lot of things that go into it in order to make a dental implant. Now, obviously, certain manufacturers put a little bit more effort into it and put a little bit more work into it because of the research, because of the technology. But this is the very simplified version. And as you can see, there's a lot of things that goes into it, such as you have the lathing system, the threads from the outside, threads from the inside. You have the cleansing. You have the computer analysis of the dimensions. You have the vapor degreaser. You have the anodizing, okay, kind of sequence that happens where they put it inside the acid and they put put some kind of charge into it. So there's a lot of different components that happens in order for an implant to be made. So that's number two. Number three is what goes into planning of the implant. Now, there's a lot of steps here, and you can see here this is a 7-step protocol for placing a dental implant. It's not straightforward. It's not like, oh, well, here's a screw. Let's put a screw in the wall. Voila. No, it's not like that. It's very, very different. There's a lot of steps. And as you can see here, step one is the restorative classification. So we have to take a CBCT. CBCT is a three-dimensional, configuration of your jawbone, and it allows us to plan properly all these different things. So the second step after we obtain CBCT and we obtain the records and all that stuff is we have to determine whether or not there's enough space, whether you have any kind of change in your bite. So that's called the bite analysis. What your occlusal plane looks like, because if you have a lot of shifting of your teeth, then obviously the bite surface is going to be a lot different. Well, that changes how the actual implants are actually going to be put in. The third step is restorative design. How is it going to look? We call things such as emergence profile. How do they come out from the gums? How does it look once it comes out from the gum? Is there going to be any kind of papilla? Do we need to do any extra work? Step number 4, you have the implant abutment design, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's a lot of steps that goes into simply planning one implant. Now imagine if you're doing multiple implants, and imagine if you're doing a whole set, like let's say you're doing top and bottom, which can cost upwards of $25,000 to $40,000 per arch, like 25, 40,000 per, right? Depending on who you see, the level of experience that they use, the amount of planning that they put into it. Like You have to understand it's not a very simple process. So when someone says it's very expensive, well, yes, there's a reason why it's very expensive. Okay, it's not kind of like, it's not like I don't know, driving a car, right? It's a lot more complicated. How can implants fail? Now, implants can fail, but the failure rate is very small. Implants can fail. Now, there are different reasons as to why implants can fail, but the two biggest ones, or the ones that are the factors that render failure the most, are infections and load. Okay, so if you have a lot of stress on the implant from, for instance, you're not wearing a night guard, or the bite's off, or whatever, then that can cause the implant to fail. How does failure look like? Well, there's different definitions, but one of them is you start losing bone, you start seeing more threads, the threads of the actual implant. But I won't go into the details in this webinar slash lecture slash whatever. Okay, so but infection seems to be the number one cause of um, of dental implant failure. And what's the reason for infection? Well, it's literally people not taking care of their implants. So they put the implants in, they're like, okay, fine, well, it's artificial. I don't have to take care of it as I did with my normal teeth. Well, if you think about it, normal teeth are actually a lot more superior than artificial teeth. And since the normal teeth failed, if you don't change your habits, you don't go to the dentist more regularly, more frequently, you don't actually maintain your teeth at home, you don't actually follow the advice of your dentist, then that implant is going to fail. Okay, hands down, it's going to fail. So that's how implants can fail. Now, is there extra training needed for placing implants? Yes. Okay, I personally did around 3+ years of implant training where I've learned from the best of the best. I've traveled, I've spent years just going to classes and whatever, and trying to learn more and more with regards to how to properly plan and place a dental implant and allow it to look good in the process at the end. Okay, and so they can last the lifetime of the patient. Now, this is one thing here that's really cool, because robotics and AI obviously are going to take over very soon. And so one of the things right now is very, very popular, and it's going to get even more popular, is this arm called Yomi. Now, Yomi is a robotic arm that places implants with a little bit of assistance from the dentist. And what Yomi does is that it takes all the data points, like CBCT images and stuff like that, and then it locks. So then there's this locking mechanism. It locks in to the jaw of the patient, and then now there's a reference of the robot to the jaw, to the image and the X-ray system, and then it places, with the assistance of the dentist, it places the implant directly into the jawbone. And so some people are even saying that that is basically, instead of you waiting for your implant to integrate with the bone for 3 to 4 months, because of the planning with the robot, given the situation, obviously not every situation is the same, but given certain situations, the implant can be loaded immediately on the same day. So you can basically not have a tooth, go to the dentist, and then leave with a tooth. Okay, complete. There are a lot of dentists in the States that are starting to use this, and a lot of them are bragging that they're the first in their city, okay, or first in the state or whatever. Okay, a lot of them seem to be in California, but this is how it looks like. Okay, so you have, for instance, this dentist. I believe he's in either Miami or California, and you can see here. So you have the locking mechanism, okay, on the jaw of the patient, and you have the dentist here holding the drill, and the drill is robotically assisted, robotically driven. So the dentist really can't screw it up. Okay, it's very hard to screw it up. It's almost close to impossible to screw it up. And then here you have another one. Okay, so same thing. You have that arm that latches onto the jaw, and then you have the dentist who's grabbing hold of the drill, and then it's being placed. So yes, are they going to get cheaper? Absolutely, they're going to get cheaper because they're going to be a lot easier to place, a lot faster to place, and the manufacturing is only going to get simpler and simpler. But the only thing is that I'm going to say is dentists still have to know exactly how to place an implant without the robot assisting them, as they do currently with the robot. So are they going to get cheaper right now? with this kind of robot? No, they're not. Okay. I don't see it maybe for the next year or two at least, where implants are not going to get cheaper. They may get actually a little bit more expensive, but once robotics takes over almost completely, and then you have unassisted robotic placement of dental implants, then I can see how dental implants are actually going to get cheaper, because you're not going to need a dentist there actually like holding things. Maybe the dentist is going to be there supervising. Maybe the dentist can be supervising, multiple chairs at the same time, kind of like when you go to the grocery and you go to checkout. Now you have like all these kiosks, right, where you can just check out yourself, and you have all these people that were used to be cashiers don't have a job anymore. Well, I mean, dentistry and everything else is heading in that direction. So eventually you're going to have one dentist monitoring maybe like 6, 7 chairs with all these robots doing all this work. And it's, just making sure that the robots are not going to screw up. Hey, I mean, I called it here first. Okay. It's going to happen. Obviously, it's going to happen eventually. Everything's going to be led by robots. But until that happens, implants are not going to get cheaper. Okay. So hope you benefited. Have yourself a wonderful night. And as always, keep smiling. And thanks, Mom, for the comment. I love you too.